Hi there, and welcome to the Grief and Rebirth podcast. I'm your host, author and trauma survivor Irene Weinberg, here to encourage you wherever you are in your healing journey. In each episode, I chat with incredible grief and trauma specialists, healers, mediums, and celebs, as well as remarkable people who have inspiring healing stories to share. If you're looking for a podcast that's both uplifting and inspiring, you've found it. Let us help you find your joy in life. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds each of you so very well. I'm speaking to you from my studio in West Orange, New Jersey, and I could not be more delighted to have the pleasure of interviewing actress, nurse, scientist, and hospice volunteer, Reverend Kim Caswell, who is also a quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner and a hypno-counselor. Kim's passion is to help people live with self-awareness and purpose, attain health, and create a life that holds a sense of commitment and contentment and happiness by tapping into the best part of themselves, known as their higher self or subconscious, through a unique method called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, known as QHHT. QHHT lovingly and gently guides clients through trance, allowing them to tap into their own inner knowing and infinite wisdom. It was developed by Dolores, an award-winning hypnotherapist whose specialty was past life regression and healing, whose career spanned almost 50 years. And through her many students, QHHT has helped millions of clients around the world. Kim is also a longtime member, an inspiring contributor, a minister, and a medium for the Inner Spiritual Center in Fairfield, New Jersey, which provides an inclusive, caring, and supportive environment for those who wish to pursue metaphysical and spiritual understanding and development. I encourage you to check out my insights-filled enlightening interviews with Sharon Siubis, the director and co-founder of Inner Spiritual Center, and Reverend Dr. Rosemary Calderolo, who is an evidential medium, a trance medium, and a healing medium for the Inner Spiritual Center, wherever you get your Grief and Rebirth podcast episodes, and also on YouTube. I'm looking forward to asking Kim how QHHT helps people find their purpose in life, deal with challenging relationships, and connect with their higher self, the way losses in a person's life can help that person move forward in life, how QHHT helps with mental, emotional, and physical well-being, how Kim knows for sure that each of us is a timeless and eternal soul that has experienced hundreds, if not thousands of lives, and much more, for an incredibly enlightening interview that will surely help light the path on many healing journeys. Hey, Kim, a heartfelt, warm welcome to Grief and Rebirth podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Irene. We're going
to have such a great interview. I can tell, and so many people can benefit by what you do with QHHT and all. So let's have everyone start by getting to know you a little bit. So you were a kid once. So in between 10 and 12 years old, you started asking God important questions, and you started being guided to the answers. Please share the questions you asked, and where did you begin to find those answers?
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for starting all the way back. It seems like yesterday, but it was, I was 10 or 12 years old. I'm not remembering exactly, but I had moved from the Midwest, and I found living in New Jersey was challenging. It was a whole new world. And I wasn't happy with this life. I really wasn't. I just did not like where I was. And I just got down on my knees one day by myself saying, God, if you're real, show me. Just show me, because this is not fun. I don't like being here. And I didn't have any archangels coming down with bells and whistles. But what happened within the next 2 years and then throughout my life, I asked for teachers. I just asked for teachers to come into my life and show me. Just show me that you're real. Show me how I can help. Show me how I can serve. Because I started feeling like the way to happiness is service and to serve yourself, but while you're learning. And so all of a sudden, I just started getting teacher after teacher, and it started in a very Western religion kind of way. I grew up Episcopalian, and I wanted more. And I started getting Baptist, Mormon, you name it. I had Catholic, Jewish, I had everything coming at me. And I went to temple and I went to
Well,
mosques.
you through different friends and all, they were
Yeah.
inviting you to go to their.
They came in, I started the born again thing, just in, found Jesus in another way, which was beautiful. But each one still kept making me want a little more. I felt like I was still missing something. And then the New Age movement started coming in. So there I'm dating myself, but it started coming in, and I was just open to studying and reading. And it came down to I was going as an adult into theater. And I know starting from there, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I had no clue. I wasn't sure what I was good at, but I knew I could act and dance and sing. So I started doing that. And one night I was at this beautiful penthouse party, and all these producers were there, and I knew I was starting to make it. And I suddenly heard a voice in my head saying, Kim, you don't need people to know your name or your face to be a success in life.
Wow.
Yeah. And I literally went, what? I looked around and I said,
What was the voice like in your head? Was it
it
a
was,
man?
it was my own voice, but it was something, it was and it wasn't. Like I knew it wasn't coming totally from my mind. I didn't know enough then to know how spirit speaks to you. So I just said, all right, what? And then it said it again, you don't need people
Wow.
to know your name or your face to be a success. And suddenly I just had like layers fall off of me, if I could say it, like of pressure, saying, because I knew I loved theater, but I didn't like the cattle calls and all the other things. And, there's always someone who can sing better than you and dance better than you. It's just a lot of times it's having talent and being at the right place at the right, the right time. So I literally picked up my coat. I said goodbye to my friends that were producers, and I left.
Wow.
And then I started a whole other journey,
Well,
so
that journey took you from organized religion, which I'm just real curious. One quick question. How did your family, that were obviously traditional Episcopalians, how did they react to your opening up to all these different religious viewpoints?
well, it's so funny when I would go to Bible studies at night, and I was literally going to Bible studies because I wanted to find the answers. My mother was like, you're going to turn into, and nothing against Hare Krishna, but
Right,
what she
right.
didn't know, she's like, you're going to become a Hare Krishna. And I said, no, I said, I'm just learning, Mom. I'm just learning. You'd be happy I'm not going out doing other things.
Well, to her credit, she didn't tell you you're forbidden to go or anything like that. She allowed you to be open-minded and check that out and learn.
She did. And yes, you are so right. She was so willing, and the kids, in my time, we were always, there's a lot of getting into trouble, so doing the things I did, it was just kind of going from one modality to the other and still saying, it's not quite right for me.
That's so
There's more,
amazing. That's so
and
amazing.
I really do believe that I kept hearing God is love. So when I heard that, I said, if this doesn't resonate with the love that I'm looking for in a kind, beautiful way, then then I need to continue to look and ask, and you'll bring them. And the teachers just kept coming.
Wow. And some of those teachers came from a spiritualist church where you found your way into a spiritualist church filled with psychic mediums. Then then you became a scientist working in the area of oncology, to a volunteer in hospice, to a minister in the spiritualist church. Why did you feel the need to ask Spirit to show you a way to give back even more than you were already giving in so many different ways? I mean, wow.
Well, we never see ourselves as other people may see us or whatever. We don't. And I think the thing is, when you leave yourself open to spirit, you start to take new journeys that are exciting and interesting and challenging. And so I literally, with all of it, I think it was kind of one after the other. When you say that question or you ask that question, it sounds like I'm doing it all at once, but I
Right, I mean,
wasn't.
this was over maybe a few years.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, but you started with the spiritualist church. You were doing that.
well, yes, what I did actually is I went into nursing. I became a nurse. I felt a call to just work with patients, and I would have patients that would flatline and come back after we resuscitated them, and they would start talking with me. And all of a sudden, people started telling me how they went to the light, how they, saw their life review. All of those things so today is so commonplace, but then it wasn't. And yet I am so grateful that they felt comfortable enough to share that with me as a nurse, as I was working on the wards. And I was in New York City working and at that point, I continued to search. And when I found that there was this real metaphysical sense to things, I then found the Spiritualist church, and I never looked back. I found beautiful people who were so non-judgmental and caring, and you could be any religion you wanted to be and come there, and you can still go to temple or church or whatever if you want to and go there. Which is really how I see God. God's like there are billions of people in the world, there are billions of paths to God. So it's
I
kind of,
could not agree more.
yeah, right?
So, how did you discover Dolores Cannon and her unique quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT? And what told you that you were being called by spirit to become a QHHT practitioner? So, here came one more notch on your belt.
No notches, no notches. Just learning and challenges and joy, I'll tell you. It comes down to is I was a nurse and I went on into working in clinical research as a scientist in the area of oncology, cardiovascular and oncology. And but when you're not at the bedside, and if you have a heart for the bedside and being with people, you want to do other things. So I volunteered for hospice, and would just work with clients and their families, as they were transitioning. And I do have a real open perspective on death of this body. We transition. We don't leave this knowing. We have our consciousnesses that we take with us. And so I started enjoying working in hospice so much and supporting the families as they transitioned with their loved ones. And I would do that on the side. And then as I was working, I suddenly said several years ago, I also had become a minister in my spiritual center, which I'm so fortunate to. I love my center that I not work, but I'm at as much as I can be, the Inner Spiritual Center in Fairfield. But what I really love now is I sat back and I said to God, I said, you've given me all these beautiful gifts, but I really still feel like I'm not giving enough. There was just something calling in me. And I said, there's something else I need to do. And I know that, but I don't know what it is. And I'm in the last third of my life. And if I can't give back fully, I don't want to go on the other side and say, yeah, I kind of did this and I kind of did that. I really want to say I jumped in with all fours and I helped people somehow, and letting God channel through me. So what happened was all of a sudden, I think I was watching Gaia.com, and I call it my spiritual Netflix.
I get it too, yes.
Yeah, right? And I just learned so much through Gaia. And I think Dolores was on there at one point.
Oh, wow.
And as I was watching her, all of a sudden everything in me just like a light bulb went on and vibrations started happening. And I can always tell when spirit is really pushing me to do something because I start feeling this vibration. And my jaw dropped because everything she did was just, it resonated so much with me because I love working with people, which is what you have to do with QHHT. I love the idea of trance, and it is different than, many other people who do past life regressions. They're lovely ways of doing them, but with Dolores and the thousands and thousands of people that she put under through her own modality that she learned, not only do you go to other incarnations or other past lives, but then she pulls you back in, and that's what we do as practitioners. We pull you back in after you've experienced those lives or incarnations, and we start talking to your higher self, your oversoul, the you that is really you. So you can shed body after body, lifetime after lifetime, but the you that is intrinsically you, that never changes,
That knows everything.
and knows everything. Absolutely. And that's exactly it. The wisdom that is there. I said, I think I want to tap into this. I want to be able to help people tap into their higher selves, learn from their past lives or incarnations. And then I look at it after doing this, I feel like it's 10 years of therapy in one sitting. It's just things that you can't get through. And again, therapy is beautiful. It is something that people will always need and use. But when you go into trance, you tap into something that is mystical, and yet it's very real and it's very tangible. So it's kind of the both sides.
It's wonderful when you get the full picture. And
Exactly.
could you please explain Dolores' statement? If the mind is strong enough to make a person sick, it is also strong enough to make that person well. So does that happen? Like when people have illnesses and everything, that they can come for a session and suddenly they're,
They're healed.
dare I say it, healed?
Yes, it can happen. And I think it comes down to if a person is ready. Sometimes people come and they think they're ready, but healing can come in many ways. And if they are to be healed and they're ready to be healed, it can be done. I've had multiple clients that have come for healing, and they come for emotional, mental, physical healing. I can give an example of a couple of people. I had one
Please
woman
do.
who had really lived a life. Is that okay?
Yeah, please do.
She had a life of traumas, many difficult situations in her life, and beautiful woman in her 50s, just really struggling with so many things that, she really struggled with this lifetime. And when she went under, she went into two past lives that she had been a leader in her tribes. One was on another planet, so that can take us to a whole other area of conversation, but she was a leader, and the tribe was decimated by other outside forces of other beings from other planets taking their resources, and she couldn't save her people. And then she went to another lifetime where she was an indigenous leader, that when she had a vision that her tribe was going to be overcome by the white man coming in. And when she woke up as this tribal leader, they were there already. And they decimated the tribe and killed her and her tribe. And as she watched this horror, from her vantage point, she felt so guilty in these two lives. And the higher self shows you the lives you need, because you've had thousands, if hundreds,
It
if not
shows you the one that's affecting you in this lifetime, right?
right. Many times it shows you what you need. And so she experiences, and then as a facilitator, I'm there to ask the question, saying, there was nothing you could have done. You did everything you could have done. And I kept leading her through those questions, and she started to see that it wasn't her fault that they died. And then when I pulled her back into her higher self, and her higher self started talking, it told her how she did not have to feel guilty, but she's been carrying this guilt with her lifetime after lifetime, punishing herself. So, and that's where the traumas came in. And when she woke up, having resolved a lot of these issues, she woke up, and for the first time in over 10 years, she had saliva in her mouth. She had no
Oh my
saliva
God.
for 10 years or more. I don't remember exactly, but and she
Oh,
just was shocked. She said, "Oh my God, and we take it for granted having saliva in our mouth, but that was something it just came, and she just woke up understanding she didn't need to experience the trauma anymore."
oh.
Yeah.
Kim, I want to ask you a question. Do you also through QHHT, does it come through for people like she had these terrible traumas with her tribes? Were there lessons she was supposed to learn from those experiences? Does that come through? So where she took it as the trauma and the guilt, did she miss the main message? Because we all go through so many challenges and so many difficulties. Are we supposed to look at them as lessons to be learned that we kind of set up for ourselves?
Yeah. Yes, and many times, and when I say yes to that, Dolores had a beautiful example in one of her books. She's written over 20 books. I've read almost all of them, and I reread them when I can because she's just such an amazing woman on how she developed QHHT and how it came forward in helping thousands. But there was one story where this woman came in, I think it was her book, Life Between Death, or Death, Lives Between Death. And I'm probably not saying it exactly at the moment, but the person went and met her spiritual guide, and it was because she was in her consciousness before coming to this current life
She
she
was
was
in transition. She was
in.
right.
Yes, and her guide had a beautiful bowl in front of her to represent her life. And next to her was a bowl of beautiful black stones, all smooth and shiny. And the guide said, "Okay, choose your challenges for your coming life. Choose what you want to learn." So she picked up a stone and said, "Oh, I like that one. I want that to challenge me." And she picked up another one, and she just kept picking up stone after stone. And even the guide said, "I think you need to think about this because it seems easy on this side, but when you're in your body, you have a lot of challenges." And her bowl is filling up. And she's like, "No, no, no, I want to do this." But she came to Dolores because she said, "My life is horrendous. I have nothing going right in it. It's filled with challenges. Why is this?" So when she went under, the guide told her, and her higher self showed her that she had this life that she had chosen. And, and I have clients that frequently say to me, "I wish I hadn't chosen so many stones." So it's something to say that we do bring a lot of the challenges to ourselves. Sometimes they also change, and are maybe accidental, and I don't know which is which until a client comes and if it's told to us in trance. But and many times people get so many more answers than they ever expected when they go into trance. My clients come to me. I tell them, I prepare them for the day because I usually only see one person a day. And your day is with me to relax and just share with me during an interview, which can be 2 to 3 to 4 hours long before we go into the trance session, so that they have time to let me know anything that can come up in trance. I'm prepared to ask the questions. And they tell me about their lives, and they bring usually about 25 questions with them. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I have this relationship with my mother or father or son or daughter? Why is it so challenging? There's what do I do with my career? I don't have a man or a woman in my life or a relationship. I'd like to have one. Why is it that I don't have someone? What can I do about it? And I'm healing is always on the list. People look for healings, and I have had clients that have been beautifully healed at the session, and then sometimes after, they'll call me weeks and months later with so many different types of healings that they've gone through
It's amazing. Do
already.
you do this online also, or does it have to be in your office personally with you?
Right now, it is in my office. I do it online, and there are practitioners around the world. And I believe in the law of abundance, so I will tell you, if you are not in New Jersey, and New York or Connecticut or Pennsylvania, you feel you don't want to come to me, go online to their official website, and there are practitioners all around the world, level 1, 2, and 3 practitioners.
So now what is the difference in the levels, Kim?
So level one is you're brand new. You're doing this in the beginning, and you take a very long course that Dolores and Julia Cannon put together. Each level has, a long course of videos, and you can do it online. So if you feel called to this, and it resonates with you, I encourage you to look it up, because I believe we need more practitioners in this world that really have a heart for this. And level one is the beginner. You have to put 5 people under trance before you can start usually level two. And that might be changing too. They might let you take level two after you've taken level one. But once you're in level two, you have to put 25 people under
Wow.
trance. And so then level three, you have to put 125 people
Whoa.
in trance. So I'm well on my way, and I'm, going to be a level three. As soon as the
Wow.
law allows, I will be doing it. I so believe in this process, and I've seen lives changed so much. People coming with grief, coming with loss, meeting loved ones when they're in trance, even, connecting and seeing them in their mind's eye, and the emotion that comes through, and the joy is, and the answers
Amazing.
they get. Yep.
Do
It's
they come to you afraid to be put into a trance? I mean, aren't they afraid? Aren't a lot of people afraid of losing control,
Well,
letting
first off,
go?
you never lose control. You never lose control. That is the stage hypnotherapy when people cluck like chickens or something like that. That is never done with QHHT, and you never lose control. In fact, what is interesting for Dolores is that as time has gone on, when Dolores discovered this back in the 60s and the 70s, and she continued practicing, she started practicing in her 40s, and then went through the 80s and the 90s and 2000s. She saw people changing when they would go into trance. People would forget a lot of times and would go into a somnambulistic state. We call it somnambulistic, when you don't remember your current life. You're so deep in that you become that person or being that you are experiencing in trance. But many people go down into what we call theta, alpha and theta. Their brain waves slow down. And as we get them, that's the goal. We want to get them down, to slow the brain waves down and get them into that super comfortable spot where we allow the right side of the brain to come through with the pictures and the images.
So it's a slow kind of a process. You're like taking them through this.
Slowly down. And then as they come down, the one thing we have to learn is that during the day, we work from our left brain. And Dolores was so ahead of her time. She understood left brain, right brain. And the left brain is the side is ego. It's the mind that keeps us alive. It beautifully keeps us well. It tells you you have your laundry list of things to do. You have to make your bed, take a shower, brush your teeth. Oh, and what's for dinner tonight? And did I go grocery shopping? And what do I need to do for the kids later? Or that's your ego. Your higher self is on the right side of your brain, and it comes through talking to you with pictures and images. And you naturally go into that space of alpha brainwaves and theta brainwaves every day. You go into trance. When you're watching TV, after about 60 seconds and you're watching a movie, you suddenly can be so into the movie, your brainwaves have slowed down, and you start being open to suggestions. And that is its own form of trance. And then when you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning and you're in that dream state, that's theta. And that's the goal where we try to get you, is to get those beautiful images and pictures to start coming through in your mind's eye. And that's how your higher self talks to you, through pictures and images and through sensing and feeling and emotion. And you can also start to smell and hear when you're down in trance and relaxed. It comes through differently for everybody. And yet, if you relax into it, you start getting these beautiful pictures and images and sensing, and you just start to tell your story. And our goal as practitioners is to allow you to see or sense and feel or hear, and then you verbalize to me what you're seeing or sensing, and you create the picture for me to ask you more questions so that we can open up that story and find out more and more. And the more you talk, kind of the deeper you go and the more the picture opens up into your incarnation that you're being
Wow. So now if somebody comes to you and they say, Kim, I really want someone to love me and I haven't been able to find anybody. I'm going to every website in the world and I'm getting online and can you really help a person attract a healthy new love into their life? And do you have a story maybe about doing that? Is that
Oh
something?
gosh. Well, the one thing about QHHT that I will always tell you, it is not me who heals you. It is not me who brings you those pictures in your mind or those stories. I'm only the facilitator, but I think I'm a good facilitator. And in the fact that I love what I do. And I think it's the passion I have for this
I
that,
think what I'm asking you is, as a facilitator, are you
in the,
also a matchmaker in a way?
well, how about I say I can help you to be your own matchmaker? And I think that's always the answer. When you want someone in your life, my understanding that I've heard from the higher self is that you're looking for the vibrational match. You want someone that you vibrate with, that it just clicks. And we're all looking for that at different times, and even whether it's friends or partners. So when someone is down, and if someone comes to me and that's one of their questions, I'd like to meet someone, let's talk to your higher self and let's see what your higher self encourages you to do. And I had one woman that had multiple goals ahead of her. She wanted to move to Italy. She wanted to start her own business, working online, and so she could travel wherever she wanted to. She wanted the freedom, but she also wanted a partner. And she had been without a partner for a while. And so we spoke to her higher self, and her higher self said, yes, he is coming. And when she spoke to the higher self, there were a few details, but the one thing I love about the higher self is it doesn't want to give away all the surprises. Because if the higher self says you're going to meet someone in this restaurant, this place, this parking lot, whatever, then where's the mystery? So the higher self usually leaves it open, but gives maybe a little extra direction for you. And sure enough, literally, she called me a week later, said, Kim, after my session the next day,
Oh my
I met
goodness.
the person of my dreams. And they're still together. And he travels with her to Italy and she's building her business. She was so open, she was so ready. And I always say that too, is sometimes people come into you with desires and wanting healing, but they also have to be ready. And my joy is to help you, figure all of that out and to help pull that forward from you so that you can look at that and say, am I really ready? Your higher self is honest with you and filled with so much wisdom. It will tell you so many things that you don't even ask sometimes. And for me you come with 25 questions or so, but I probably ask 125 or more as you're
Oh, how cool.
pulling it forward.
So what I want to explain to people who are hearing about a higher self that they don't necessarily understand this whole thing is that our original soul, as it comes into bodies and all, we have these souls. That's our higher self. They know every single thing that's happened to us. And then it's my understanding that a sliver of that higher self comes into us in this incarnation, right? We carry our souls with
Yeah.
us.
Yes, our soul is with us. And there's many names that we use for the higher self. Dolores initially called it the subconscious because she didn't have another term for it. So we call it the subconscious or the SC. I usually like the term higher self, but it's also your oversoul. It's the you that's really you. Like this goes away. This
This is
goes
our
away.
bodysuit. This is our
Yep, this is
incarnation,
our bodies. Yep. And then you can go from lifetime to lifetime, incarnation to incarnation. I know that for some people that may not be used to this, I even have clients that have been on other planets and other dimensions and have learned so much and seen that they are truly so much more than who they are right now. But you bring all of that knowledge with you and that those experiences with you from lifetime to lifetime or incarnation to incarnation. And then as you move forward, you bring a lot of that understanding. But if we come into these bodies forgetting, we forget who we are, we
Well, we're
forget
supposed to forget, right? Or we
who we
wouldn't
are.
learn
That's
those
the
lessons
journey
that we
on
came to learn, right?
yeah, yeah. So we come here not knowing, and the joy is trying, to open up the surprises, and it really is rather amazing as the higher self has so much wisdom. People come through, and even different personalities that are gentle and loving, and sometimes firm, saying you need to do this, you need to do that, and but it guides you because it has your highest good in mind, because
And
it's
they see it all, they know it all. I really also want to ask you, could you tell us, you had a young man who was in a terrible biking accident and was considering surgery, and QHHT changed his life. So that's a whole other thing that you do with
Yeah. Well,
QHHT.
the healing, yes. So, well, again, not that I do, that the higher self
Right.
does. The higher self does this. It was a woman, the mother of this young man came to me, and lovely woman, had a fabulously interesting life, but she had her own health challenges. But one of her questions was the day before she came, and it was a Sunday. On Saturday, her son had been biking down a mountain and on a trail bike, and had fallen off the bike and had ripped all the muscles in his shoulder. And so he was down in Maryland. She lives here in New Jersey. She and her husband, she didn't want to miss her QHHT session. So she came to this session on Sunday. Her son had gone to the doctor, had gotten x-rays,
Wow.
and they've said he has a 4th-degree tear and he's going to need surgery most likely. So she and her husband were going down on Monday. So she finished her session, but during her session, she asked if we could ask the higher self to heal her son. And you can act as a surrogate, and you can be the surrogate to help somebody else that you love or care about. So the higher self, we asked the higher self, and the higher self said, yes, I can heal your son.
Wow.
We can work on this. And so the next Monday, she and her husband went down to take him to another specialist to see what kind of surgery he would need. And of course, when you go to a specialist, they want to do their own x-rays. And so he did another x-ray, and the 4th-degree tear, he looked at the one x-ray and then the new one, and he's like, this just can't be the same x-ray. He had a 4th-degree tear, and the next Monday he had a 1st-degree
Oh
tear.
my goodness.
He had healed just in 2
Wow.
days. And so
Wow.
I guess the higher self was very, very busy. And, it shows you that it can really work. And
And so energetically, the higher self was healing him.
yes, yes, it healed him. And we kind of say from a distance, but we know that time doesn't matter
Wow.
and distance doesn't matter. So people have come, at different times. But this was just such a wonderful thing that happened, to see that he had been healed and he wasn't going to need surgery. So,
That's wonderful.
yeah.
That is so amazing. Why should a person heal in this lifetime, Kim?
Mhm.
Instead of waiting, say, well, I got a million other lifetimes coming up. Why do I have to knock myself out this time around?
Well, you can take that attitude. I always say there's so much love that whatever is right for you is right for you. Whatever your journey is for you, your journey is for you. But I think the thing that you can always say, if you're feeling called to be healed,
Right.
if you're feeling uncomfortable and things in your life just don't seem right for you, or you're looking for answers,
Hmm.
that says to me that maybe your higher self is speaking to you to say, I'm going to give you this level of discomfort. It was like me saying, I need to give back more. I had this sense of urgency. How do I do it when I found QHHT? So it really is, I could have chosen not to take the call. I could have watched Dolores and said, well, that's nice for somebody else to do. But it resonated so much with me. So in this life, we're here on this journey to go through our challenges and find the healing. There was one story that Dolores talked about, someone who was blind in her incarnation, in her life here, and came for a QHHT session. Interestingly, when she went under, she could see her past life.
Oh my goodness.
She actually could
And
see
she was
things.
blind in this
She'd been
lifetime.
blind since birth. And when they asked the higher self to heal her blindness, to allow her to see, the higher self said, no, it's not her to begin, because in another lifetime, she had been a leader that had been very, I don't want to say bad, but had been a real terrible leader who had hurt people very badly and taken out people's eyes. And literally, instead of her having to experience the same thing, when we say karma, instead of having her hurt, she just came into this life being blind, and she chose this journey, and that was her challenge in this life. So she was not going to be healed, but this was her challenge. She was going to learn to go through and to live a life and understand what she had done and experience that. And I look at karma maybe a little differently than some people. I look at karma as balance. I don't look at karma as a punishment. If you're in a lifetime being thin, you get to know what fat is. If you are wealthy, you get to know what being poor is. If you can be athletic in one life and maybe a paraplegic in another, you are here to be experiencing. And Dolores showed this, the higher self showed this to Dolores many times, and I've seen this with my clients. There are times when the answer is no, and the reason is because you're here to learn this. So, but it's great to be able to find out, like, can I heal this? Can I move forward?
But not only that, the comfort of knowing, okay, I've got this disability, this has been terrible, but the comfort of knowing that this is the reason for it, and I'm supposed to learn lessons about this, and I'm healing this so that I'm not coming back to have this happen again or whatever.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. That would make it worth it to want to heal, to actually protect yourself and from other lifetimes coming up and all that kind of thing too, right?
And just to experience it. And Dolores said there's actually a long line of souls that are waiting to come to this planet that are actually wanting special need bodies that have a handicap.
Wow.
Because you learned so much more and you help so many more people with that type of body. And you impact so many more lives when you have a body that is challenged. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's really interesting. And also, I want to ask you, at QHHT sessions, there's an interview, the hypnosis session, and the post-session debrief.
Mhm.
So, could you just briefly tell us about that? How long a session takes, and tell us how people can reach you to find out about. Well, we're going to send links and all of that kind of thing so that people can
Sure.
access you. But
Oh,
just kind of explain the process. So if someone is really thinking, wow, I want to get together with Kim, what is involved in all of this? Could you
sure.
explain that to us?
Sure. So someone, if they reach out to me, I have a website, innerjourneywithkim.com. And you go in there, and I encourage you to breeze through it because I have a lot of information in there. And there's an FAQ section, there's a resource section, there's lots of fun things in there for you to, open up and just kind of muddle your way through. And if you're interested, I always give a 20-minute counseling session, or just to tell you, get to kind of a meet and
Like
greet.
a discovery call.
Yes, and we do a Zoom session. I like to meet my clients beforehand. Our higher selves get to know each other a bit better. And you also can decide if I'm the practitioner for you. And I think I love doing this. So it's such a great place to be. But I really encourage people to follow what they feel in their hearts, their gut, their vibrational energy. And then when you decide to work with me, I send you a very long email of fun things inside them to just learn about the session to get you prepared so there's no surprises. I give you sample questions you can ask your higher self because I want you to come prepared. And then we set up a date for you to come, and it's a day with me. It usually is anywhere from 5 to 7 hours. Sometimes it takes longer because I let you talk. When you get to come, how often do you get to talk to someone who is totally non-judgmental? We go through an interview session, it's totally confident, and you tell me about your life. And I want to hear about it. I love learning about new people and your challenges, your joys, your ups, your downs, all of it. And then we go over your questions that you brought for your higher self. And then that's a couple of hours long, at least 2, if not longer. And then when we go to the trance portion, I put you under for about anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours.
So it's
And
a whole day thing.
it's a day with me. And as you come to me, then we go back to past lives or other incarnations. We never know where you're going to land when you come to the end of my trance speaking. We'll see where you land. And then we talk to your higher self. We get those questions answered. We go through the healing questions that you have. And after that, when you're done, I do record the session. So you often think you're going to remember things because many times you can hear yourself talking. And I was talking about this earlier, that initially people used to forget everything, but now many people lay down and they hear themselves talking and they think, oh, I'm going to remember this, or I can't believe I'm saying this, because it's just flowing from the right side of your mind, and the images and the pictures and the words just keep coming. And as they hear themselves, they're thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna remember that." No, you won't. So you have a recording, and then after that, I take notes while you're talking, and I go over it with you, and I send the recording to you within 24 hours, and that is your day.
I'm
But
sure that some people who come to you say if they come to you from Pennsylvania or somewhere, they probably sleep over.
there's definitely places around here to sleep. Absolutely. And I can always offer that for them. I'm going to be actually adding that to my website because I do have people coming from all over that are coming for sessions. And we have beautiful, B&Bs around here and hotels and things like that. I am in the woods. I have a beautiful, quiet area that I'm at right now. But always things can change. Offices could open up even more as time goes on. So we'll see. But I'll be probably around the area.
Oh, that's great. And I want to ask you to please explain how loving and accepting ourselves is
Yeah.
not selfish, but instead they are important ingredients to finding joy.
Oh my gosh, Irene, I am so glad you asked that question. That is a question that should be asked of us every day, and we hear the answer. I really think that people who are listening to this and people who are in their incarnation at this time in Earth history, there's no accident you are here. And I really believe that this is the time we've looked out constantly through our religions, through other modalities, that we have to love our neighbor, we have to treat everybody with kindness, we have to love everything outside of us. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful, and it is something to aspire to and to work towards. But we have to start looking within, and we have to go inward. And I love the fact that at this time, more and more, I hear more people talking about self-love, going inward and finding that space of love in you. Because if you can't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? And actually, it's a challenge. We're kind of taught growing up, if you're a good girl, you'll do this. If
And
you're a
don't
good
be full
boy,
of yourself. If you love yourself, if you're taking care of yourself, um, that's not a desirable thing. You're supposed to help everyone else.
but if you take care of yourself, then you can give more to others.
I agree.
If you have the energy within yourself and the love for yourself and the belief in yourself, you can help others so much more. And it's a journey. And I think it's a lifetime journey. We're here learning to love ourselves and allowing that God spirit within all of us. It's all there. It's God within us, and we are aspects of God. So I really believe we can shine that love and just definitely look inward and do things for yourself to give yourself that energy and that joy, because a cup half full is only a cup half full that can only give so much to other people. So if you want to give more to people, that's a
Give
great
more
thing
to
to
yourself.
do, but give also more to yourself and love yourself with joy, because it's there. You
And
should.
you're as precious and important as any other person on the planet. And
Absolutely.
that's so important. Kim, some become interested in QHHT simply because they are curious. Others want to better understand their life purpose. Some wish to improve their health, relationships, family, or careers, and many others wish to understand more about why their lives have gone the way they have and learn how to move forward in the very best way they can. And I'm so happy you help people with this. And some come to QHHT with profound questions, as we've been saying, about the nature of how the universe works, how to better understand and experience our connectedness to something so much greater than ourselves, and so much more.
Oh, yes.
My heartfelt thanks to all you do.
Thank you.
To bring really truly to bring incredible insights and healing to people through QHHT and also through the beautiful person who you are. Helping them to better understand and improve their lives, for your inspiring, uplifting, and healing work as a medium and a minister, and for this incredibly enlightening interview that has surely shed needed light on the path for many healing journeys.
Oh my gosh. Irene, thank you. And I will also thank Dolores Cannon, because she is always with us, teaching us, and her daughter Julia, who really is carrying on her legacy. And Irene, thank you for you. You are just a joy and a light in this world that sheds light on so many things that are needed for people to know, and supporting people during their time of grief, their time of challenges. You know, you really are a beautiful light. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. But I think we're a mutual admiration society.
Oh my goodness. I am, you know, I'm so honored to even be just chatting with you, because I think you're such a joy, and the knowledge, it's just learning that's the fun thing about being here, is we get to learn day after day, and all the people that you bring on that share their journeys and what they know and how it impacts other lives. It's beautiful.
You know, my whole thing with this podcast is about helping people to drop their backpacks of suffering, because and to be able to feel joy. And I've experienced the backpack of suffering. I've gone through it all myself, and I've also healed, and I've experienced the delight of being able to live in a freer way and be able to pay it forward. So this is what I wish for everyone, and I'm so glad to have you on. And I just want to give everyone a loving reminder that they can see, all of you can see the show notes and all Grief and Rebirth podcast episodes on ireneweinberg.com. And make sure to follow us and like us on social media at Irene S. Weinberg on Instagram, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. As I like to say, to be continued. Yes. Kim, you are a blessing. Many blessings to everyone. Thank you so much. And bye for now.